to find common ground by collaborating and working towards bringing better technology solutions, innovative products to the world.
Show investors or customer have marketing and commercializing their invention products in the market.
As large gatherings are no longer encouraged, I'm happy to see that MTE has gone virtual. This will allow more innovators to promote their innovation and share their ideas with the world.
It has been nurturing the innovation culture among scientists, researchers, students and startup founders in order for them to transform their ideas into business ventures.
There may come a day in the near future when we have overcome this crisis, but our innovations may be able to assist another country in their fight against the pandemic.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be invited by the organizers, Protem Group and UITM to say a few words of encouragement and congratulate all the participants of the Malaysia Technology Expo 2021 Sustainable Development Goals International Innovation Award. SDGs is about making the world a better and safer place for all, leaving no one behind. So I hope you will always innovate with sustainable development as the end goal and contribute towards ending poverty, protecting the planet and ensure that by 2030 all people enjoy peace and prosperity.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to MTE 2022 Virtual. Do enjoy our next knowledge sharing session.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera. Very good morning. First of all, I would like to thank the organizer for inviting SIRIM to share some knowledge here under the MTE 2022 for sharing knowledge session. The title that's given to me is for the evaluation of R&D findings toward commercialization. Let me introduce myself. I'm Ajumain Kasim, Chief Executive Officer of SIRIM Tech Ventures in Berhad. When we talk about commercialization, it is a very big title for us to digest today, but I'm trying my best to share with you all in the simplest manner. So the agenda for today, I would like to cover only two main sections. One about SIRIM in brief, and the other one on the title is Valuation of R&D Findings. Right. When we talk about SIRIM as a whole, we are focusing into three main areas. The first one on the statutory focus area, which is mainly managing the national measurement under the unit, we call it National Metrology Institute of Malaysia. The other one more on the developmental, where this is the technology or innovation from SIRIM coming from, which is headed by our big division. We call it SIRIM Industrial Research, SIRIM IR, to do on the industrial research and development that covering for all those elements that mentioned in the slide. And also we have Malaysia Design Council or MRM to actually become the secretariat on the design advisory and policy and also good design. The most important thing other than developmental and also statutory part, we also focusing on the commercial element or commercial perspective that consists of several subsidiaries under SIRIM Berhad. So we have the first one, SIRIM QAS, that focusing on the conformity assessment or certified bodies in Malaysia. And also we have SIRIM SDS that focusing on the standard development agency as well as on the industry standard training and consultancy. And we also have our subsidiary on the calibration of physical measurement that we call SST. And we have the special vehicle for Bumiputra tool and die mold industry under the purview of NPT, National Precision Tooling. And today I'm representing Sirim Tech Venture, also known as STV, that focusing on the technology transfer and commercialization. And last but not least, we have packaging and security design. We call it PSDC, that focusing on the aspects of the security level as well as different kind of packaging design. So just to go a little bit further on introducing Sirim Tech Venture itself, STV is a wholly owned subsidiary of Sirim Berhad, focusing on business commercialization and anticipated to accelerate the commercialization of research and innovation into the marketplace. So this is where we are mainly doing on how to bring up any R&D finding or output or outcome from the development from SIRIM itself into the marketplace. And it is a very challenging journey, of course. So we are putting up tagline as accelerating business commercialization as a big way of putting it all together, innovation or technology into the marketplace. So that's why we put it as a technology as key differentiator. And just to know a little bit about STV, our mission purely to commercialize innovative technology solution for sustainable business. And our mission, our vision is to be the prominent business commercialization vehicle of technology-based innovation. And our value proposition to our customer, we are giving value adding and delivering technology-based innovation to the marketplace. So this is again a mouthful statement that is not, I would say, easy to play with, but this is something that we wanted to do to sort of materialize the idea into real market. And part of those things that our role also becomes special vehicle to accelerate technology innovation into commercialization, facilitate technology and knowledge transfer to generate economic and social benefit, and also establish collaboration with partners. So part of the title that I wanted to share today is basically to share some knowledge how commercialization has been done in the perspective of R&D. Yeah. So in terms of STV services, we categorize into two. One is commercialization services, the other one on the advisory and consultancy. So looking at the commercialization services, we are mainly focusing on technology assessment. It's the hardest part of it because we have to assess the technology based on several factors, several, I would say, rationale on how we want to put up good assessment on the technology. And also we do have a market feasibility study that come also together. I mean, apart from the normal feasibility study, we also do techno-economy study. And the things that really related today is talking about technology valuation. And all of us basically certified patent valuation analysts. So we can do that valuation on IP, on market and things like that related with the innovation or the technology. And we also do business linkages as well as market validation. So all the items listed here are very important when we talk about commercialization. So apart from that, we also do advisory and consultancy in terms of capacity buildings that include what we call commercialization workshop that mainly to share our experiences, our journey, putting up the innovation into the marketplace. So it is not a classroom type of workshop. It's more like hand-holding concept or driven kind of workshop that we do look into the real project or the real technology for us to assist towards commercialization. And we also have what we call innovation workshop more towards the details of it, the value engineering, the way we look on the innovation, how we want to put up into a market when we have some product. That also includes some sort of developing sort of business model per se. Yeah? The other one, we also do conduct training on CIRIM 34 2020. What is it? It is basically industry standard that developed in 2020 to guide everybody or any organization who wanted to go for technology commercialization. So it's some sort of a guideline so that you can follow through that guideline to have a better chances of success in commercialization. All right, and the most important thing also, when you have the product and you wanted to go into the market, what we call is a business model canvas workshop. This is purely like 2 days kind of session where we guide those customer that building up the business model together with the value proposition of the new setup for that to do the business in terms of technology based businesses. And we also have like technology management coaching and also advisory, as well as the consultancy on the technology transfer itself. So the other thing that I wanted to share is actually we have our collaborative platform that I don't want to go into detail, but looking at one element that we're talking about today is a technology valuation. So this will cover on the what does it mean by this tech ecosystem, the following video, which is a very short video. I hope you can bear with me for a while before I continue with the next session. Thank you.
Tech ecosystem is an integrated and innovative platform that encapsulating for, connect, collaborate, and co-create towards accelerating business commercialization. Tech ecosystem adapts technology readiness level (TRL) as a methodology of verifying technology maturity along the technology development value chain. TRL 1 to TRL 3 is normally known as knowledge development phase. TRL 4 to TRL 7 is normally known as technology development phase. TRL 8 to TRL 9 is normally known as business development phase. Sources of technology may come from universities, research institutions, industries, and others will be screened for TRL status prior to be considered as technology docket. Technology that passes TRL 5 will go through the process of commercialization with activities such as technology assessment, market validation, business linkages, technology valuation, and identification of suitable commercialization pathways. In doing so, STV will conduct industry needs and offers, capacity building, technology transfer, and funding advisory in ensuring success of commercialization. We would like to connect, collaborate, and co-create with our partners to create economic benefits for your businesses and the country at large. Let's be our partners.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to that simple video. The important thing is that the journey for commercialization will take based on the technology readiness level or TRL, and where there is a technology valuation along that particular path. Yeah. So how STV to be a commercialization partner, I believe that has been mentioned to me, but just slightly to highlight, we have the capabilities and we have the resources and we have that collaborative platform for all our customers to look at, and this is where we wanted to assist. And of course, we have that market access services among our subsidiaries, and also we have a bigger network. Right. So when we talk about commercialization, our definition is very simple. We define that as a transformation process of idea to market, either technology, product, process, or services by way of licensing, outright, assignment, spin-off, joint venture, strategic alliance, or any other model that suit for that particular technology or innovation. So commercialization is I would say it's a big title for us to look at, but this is how we try to focus on commercialization into those elements. So there will be a commercialization pathways. That's what we meant by licensing, outright, assignment, spin-off, and the rest of it. Okay, as an overview of the technology valuation, this is what I can share with you. So the methodology adopted commonly as a cost-based benchmarking, discounted cash flow, DCF or income method. However, it's not limited to if any other method that suit to your needs. Yeah, but this is the most commonly used, and as a guideline is very much applicable and useful. And secondly, valuation process is determined for commercialization through close negotiation until commercialization pathways are agreed. As I mentioned just now, commercialization consists of many ways of doing that business. So it actually attached to the way we conduct the negotiation with our potential takers, technology takers, or investors. And once it is agreed on details or what we call term sheet, eventually subjected to the willing buyer and willing seller agreement. So no matter how good you do the valuation, but the detrimental point of deciding whether you go ahead with that kind of engagement or agreement is basically depending on the agreement by both parties, buyer as well as seller. So this is again, negotiation is very much important and it always take longer time than expected. Okay, and technology valuation is needed primarily for venture capital investment, return of investment ROI, of course, and liability insurance because we involve in the transferring or licensing of the technology to other party to produce a product or services to the end user. And at the end of the day, of course, to the inventor itself, it will be the wealth distribution because they wanted to know how much that I will get by having this type of engagement or agreement towards this commercialization. Right. So when we look at the methodology, as I mentioned just now, there are three, the most popular one. The first one is a cost-based valuation where we consider all the costs expended developing that technology is actually put into account and put it as a value. But again, cost base is not so I would say popular because it's purely depending on the cost involved. It's not really the value because two things are different here. One is a cost, one is a value. Value to the eye of the investor, to the eye of the technology takers. So we have to do that kind of balancing. If you look at the cost base, yeah, we'll share it a little bit here later. And the second one is on the benchmarking of the market where we look at the comparison into perhaps similar or close to the technology that you wanted to work on the recent transaction of any kind of happening if there is a data. So there's a limitation there. So benchmarking towards more of the, I would say, good judgment to come up with a figure of the value. Yeah. Last but not least, the popular one would be the income method or discounted cash flow. This is the giving the value of the future benefit into a current. So it is more on the projected, but you are getting a certain value based on that assumption or simulation. Right. Just to share plus minus of all the valuation method, the cost-based method, as mentioned here, is very simple, or because it's a concept, and the cost actually may bear little relationship with potential benefit of intellectual asset. Meaning to say is that you're based on the cost expanded doing that technology, but not really look into what is the benefit at the end of the day. So the value of those R&D. So this is where the negative part of it. The other one is also difficult to make accurate cost estimate in terms of opportunity cost and also the changes of the value into the future market. So it's very much dependent on your own judgment based on the cost involved. So that is a cost base. Looking at benchmark method, it is consider recent transaction involving the transfer of technology or ownership of similar technology. And it is simple and based on actual transaction data. So that means if you have the access to get the market data of similar technology that you're talking about, then it must be very easier. But I believe, especially in Malaysia, it's a bit hard to get the detail of it. So it's based on your judgment or assumption on the market report and things like that for you to put it up, right? And as I mentioned, the negative part will be limited because not all the company will share the detail to everybody. Yeah. So it is a characteristic of the technology to be valued are often unique, meaning to say is that it's very into our patterns, and it's very difficult to compare because it's very much, I would say, in depth with that particular technology, right? And the income and DCF method captures the value in use of the technology, and it is based on the economic benefits derived from owning that particular technology. So as you do that simulation, assuming you own the technology and you do that projection of the benefit in terms of revenues and also cash flow at the end of the day, like for example 6 or 10 years, so you can do that with that basis. So it's very much, I would say, certain or definite that you have quite acceptable value of the technology. Yeah. As I mentioned, the detail of it, just as an example, because we cannot share all the detail, we just giving you the insight of cost-based method where all the costs, including the R&D, the resources, materials, document, and other costs involved, which can be classified as investment for that particular technology development. And then I think you can put it up here. For example, in this case, we have we just name it as a technology XYZ, and you have that those element of either funding or grant from the company, injection or things like that. You sum it up, then you get this about 7 million, for example. So it could be that will interest the third party. That's again depend on the negotiation process. And we go into the benchmarking. This is, as I mentioned, benchmarking process with similar or close to the intended business transaction, in which focusing on best practice perspective to get the insight in order for effective and systematic commercialization adaptation process. So you're looking into perhaps the comparable with other countries' technology with similar kind of field. For example, here just name it as ABC, a company, and they are involved in the composite technology. And what do they have? They have several IP, for example, patent, trade secret, know-how, and the licensing. They're talking about licensing here. They maybe put up exclusive distributor in Malaysia, and the investment that they put it up to you, for example, about 100 over million, and this is your simulation of revenues. For example, in this case, you have to distribute about 50,000 units, and the cost per unit is about 180 ringgit Malaysia, and you actually come out with about 9 million per month. This is a kind of revenue talking about, and the licensing could be 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, depending on that offer or what we call term sheet normally. And from here, you can actually simply put 10 to 50% as a benchmark rate for you to do that valuation. So here we are talking about perhaps 10 million. It could be 15 million. So it's depending on how you judge that particular technology based on the merits, based on the potential outcome or result of having that technology. Right. When you go to the cash flow, you have to understand what is the unit cost. It's just to show you when you break down all the costs involved in developing those particular product. For this example, we are giving you that breakdown, and you are having that monthly output for that particular product. For example, here 4,800 unit at 112 ringgit per unit. So you get that amount about 541,635 revenue monthly. So this will adding up when you just time by 12 time number of years, and you get that as your figure to start with. Right, and this is again just to give that example. Of course, when you do this, it's very much intensive work, or where I said it's very detailed. You need accountant to help you, and just for the sake of the discussion or the sharing, we have to use the formula of present value, PV, equal to the future value over 1 plus K to the power of number of years in terms of the agreement. For this example, we put it up as a 6 years, and K actually you can get from the references that what we call risk-adjusted hurdle rate, and this is basically depending on the risk itself of having the technology, doing the business, whether it is low, whether it is intermediate, or moderate, or very high risk. So they have sort of the guideline for you to look at in terms of the key value, RHAR. So having that put it up, you put all the detail here. This is actually simple template for the cash flow, looking at it as an example. So we have that projected revenue for the number of years, and you have that the detail of the cost, and then you actually come up with your cash flow of every year. And we're putting up the K value in this example as 25%, and you sum up all these DCF for the whole 6 years. If you have 10 years, then you have to sum up for the 10 years. And for example, in this case, it's about $405,000. This is basically in US dollar. Yeah. So this is a for example, right? So then you look at into how you want to determine. The question is that how you want to determine the value. So when you have that, the present value of your the technology, yeah, you put the scenario. The scenario based on your judgment. If you look at the risk is a low risk, and you look at the reference, sort of reference guide or table, you can put between certain range. So in this case, we put up 27%, and the other one, we actually simulate or anticipate to be the moderate risk, and we put it up the discount rate as 30%. So you put two scenarios. Out of that, you're talking about 10% of it. So you have that 2.7 million and 2.2 million. And of course, the royalty as well. So all this depending on the standard practice of royalty value, can actually look at it up. In fact, sometimes you have to subscribe into a database that available around the world in order to do that. Yeah, but this is just for illustration purposes. So based on this one, you can put the value into the high and the low level. So when you deal with your potential takers, you have this value in your mind. So the negotiation will take it up. But again, I would like to stress that the final value will still depend on the willing buyer, willing seller. So that's the beauty of this process. Yeah, right. I think to conclude, very simple. Technology valuation is a dynamic process in which all methodologies being considered based on the nature of the technology as well as the future market standing. So it's not straightforward, but this is the thing that you have to do it. You have to come up with that supporting document for you to decide whether it is low, medium, or high risk, and you have to put up certain instinct or certain judgment for you to put it up certain rate in terms of the discounted rate and things like that. The final agreement, as I said, still up to the willing buyer, willing seller. Sometimes you have a good value, but the buyer is not interested, and this is where the negotiation of high and low ranges very much useful for you to come up with the agreement. And of course, it is a daunting process. However, it's critical in determining future value for it to be fetched by interested parties. The investors are keen to know its return of investment, its impact to the business sustainability and things like that. Because we are talking about technology-based businesses, not retail normal businesses. That is the challenge. Somehow or other, whether we like it or not, we have to do this process. So at the end of the day, whether we are on the losing side or the winning side, depending how good we do the valuation. And this process is carried out in the context of, as I mentioned, close negotiation. Why I said close negotiation? Because it will take times for you to get that agreement from the other party. And the other party is also taking time to understand the technology and also the impact to the market segments or market share if they are owning that particular technology. And of course, it's also required or needed for venture capital in the business, because how much they put in, they will expect as soon as possible to get the return. And it is also showing as a high appreciation to the inventor through wealth distribution. So this is a long-term gain for the inventor. And having said all that, as TV per se, we have that collaborative platform, what we call just now on the video as well, Technology Enterprise and Commercialization Hub, or in short, we call it Tech Ecosystem, that we do experience of doing that. And it is also due to the recognition that we are certified patent valuation analyst. So we can do it for you if you are interested. As I said, to end my presentation, come to us, talk to us. We can be your commercialization partner. So with that, I believe it's the end of my presentation. Perhaps this is what I meant. There is a table of references for you to look at in terms of low risk. In this case, we put moderate risk and what is the risk. So at least you get some understanding of what they talk about. And this is just to show you, you can get it as this one is just a sample. There is a differences between royalty rate due to the industrial sector or product itself, and the other one is the one that we actually have very I would say systematic way of identifying or determining the valuation of the technology. So with that, once again, thank you again for listening. I hope in a very short time here, there's a good to say knowledge that for you to have. Of course, we can do more connection later on when we have time. Once again, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.